Native Americans make up the Peoria people. They belong to the Peoria tribe of Indians of Oklahoma, which has its headquarters in Miami, Oklahoma, and is recognized by the federal government. The remaining countries that made up the Illinois Confederation are the Peoria people. The Peoria tribe lived north of the Ohio River and east of the Mississippi River. They engaged in commerce with French colonists in the region throughout the colonial era. The Peoria were relocated west across the Mississippi after the British seized their territories in 1763 after winning the 7 Years' War. Along with surviving members of allied tribes, their ancestors relocated to Indian Territory in 1867 and were given property in what is now Ottawa County, Oklahoma. They were given territory that belonged to the Quapaw, who were forced to give it up to the Miami and Peoria. These two dialects are mutually intelligible and are spoken by the Peoria in a dialect of the Miami, Illinois language, which is a Central Algonquian language. Their autonym, or name for themselves in the Illinois language, Pewarewa, modern pronunciation Pewalia, is the source of the names Peoria and Peowaroa. Comes carrying a pack on his back, was the original meaning. The Peoria language is no longer spoken by its native speakers. The tribe's 10-week online course launched the Peoria language's revitalization efforts in August 2022. A smaller group of historical Peoria tribal people in Oklahoma spoke the Miami language as well as the related Algonquian languages of Tamaroa, Moingwea, and Cahokia. Miami, Oklahoma, is home to the headquarters of the Peoria Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma. The northeastern part of the state, in Ottawa County, is their tribal authority. Approximately 777 of the 3,713 tribe people that are enrolled reside in Oklahoma. The Peoria have their own housing authority and provide their own tribe vehicle registrations. The Peoria Ridge Golf Course and one casino are owned by the tribe. The tribe is thought to have a $60 million yearly economic influence on the region. On their tribe territory in Miami, Oklahoma, there are tribal companies, the Peoria Gaming Center, Buffalo Run Casino and Hotel, and Joe's Outback. The inhabitants of Peoria speak Algonquian. Historically, their forefathers resided in what are now the states of Missouri, Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois. Not to be confused with Cahokia Mounds, the Peoria are linked to and partially derived from the Cahokia people. Father Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet, two early French explorers, came across several tribes in Illinois, including the Peoria. Tribal people were converted to Roman Catholicism by French Jesuit missionaries. The most comprehensive bilingual dictionary of Kaskaskia, Illinois, and related French phrases was created by Father Jacques Gravier, the Illinois Mission Superior. It has 20,000 items and approximately 600 pages. Following their defeat in the 7 Years' War, France gave up its Illinois country and other lands east of the Mississippi River to the British in 1763. The Peoria went southwest into Missouri Territory, much like many of the French colonists who lived in nearby communities. For example, French colonists from east of the river who did not wish to live under British Protestant authority created St. Genevieve and St. Louis during that time. Following their independence, the United States U.S. seized former British territory east of the Mississippi in 1818, and they pressured the Peoria to sign the Treaty of Edwardsville, which allowed the U.S. to acquire the Peoria holdings in Illinois. President Andrew Jackson signed the legislation in 1830 after the United States pushed for the removal of Indians from lands that European American settlers wanted as they continued to move west. The Peoria gave up their holdings in Missouri by the Treaty of Louisville in 1832 in return for territory in Kansas, which was then a part of Indian Territory, close to the Osage River. The tribe experienced intertribal conflicts in new resource competition locations and the introduction of new infectious illnesses. Remaining Kaskaskia, Peoria, Piankeshaw, and Wee tribal members established a confederacy in 1849 under the name Peoria. The remaining members and descendants of the Cahokia, Moingwena, Michigamea, and Tamaroa tribes, who had long before merged with the Peoria, were part of the Confederation. After merging with the Wea and Piankeshaw in the latter half of the 18th century, the Pepakokia also joined. According to a report by an Indian agent in 1851, the Peoria and Kaskaskia, along with their allies, had intermarried with white people and with each other to the point that they had essentially lost their tribal identities. These groups were categorized as the Confederated Peoria in a treaty from 1854, which acknowledged this as a genuine unity. The treaty also allowed non-Indians to live on the Peoria, Kaskaskia, and Wapiankashaw reserves in Kansas. The Omnibus Treaty of 1867 was signed by the majority of Confederate tribes following the Civil War. In this way, the bulk of the Confederated Peoria tribe was moved into a 72,000-acre, 290 square kilometer reservation in Indian Territory, which is now part of Ottawa County, Oklahoma, when the U.S. federal government bought territory from the Quapaw tribe. To unify the Miami tribe, who were then in Kansas as well, and allocate them to lands with the Confederated Peoria, Congress passed a legislation. In order to expedite assimilation and increase the amount of property available for sale to non-Indians, the United States divided communal holdings in Indian Territory in 1893 under the Dawes Act. Over the following several years, registered heads of families received allocations in an effort to end Indian claims and make it possible for the territories to become a state. Following Oklahoma's admission in 1907, whatever surplus land in the former Confederated Peoria region that the U.S. deemed to exist was given to Ottawa County so that it might be sold. The U.S. government registered tribe members under the Dawes Act and the Curtis Act of 1898 so that family heads could receive individual land allocations. They thought that the best approach to introduce European American methods to the tribe members was to promote subsistence farming. They were also able to dismantle the community culture and sell land to white people. They also compelled the dissolution of tribal administrations before to Oklahoma's statehood. The Peoria suffered from the pressure to abandon their culture and lost a large portion of their territory in these exchanges. Tribal chiefs, who had previously been chosen through hereditary positions, were appointed by the Bureau of Indian Affairs for many years. During the administration of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the federal government modified its strategy after recognizing the negative consequences of such acts. In order to promote a constitutional, representative model like to that of the U.S. and states, it established a statute in 1934 urging federally recognized tribes, typically those that had previously lived on reservations, to restructure their administrations. Likewise, in 1939, the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act was enacted. The Confederated Peoria restructured and restored its traditional council-based system of governance under that. The U.S. government made yet another policy shift in the 1950s, encouraging Indian termination in an effort to sever its unique ties to tribes it deemed prepared for independence. It brought an end to the Peoria tribal government, which in 1959 was no longer recognized by the federal government. Because it offered significant welfare and educational advantages, tribal people protested and started the process of regaining federal status. In 1978, the federal government once again recognized them. They never terminated the Miami tribe. The Peoria tribe of Indians of Oklahoma also includes descendants of the Piankashaw, Kaskaskia, and Wea, all of whom were part of the Illinois Confederacy.